Control a canal, and you control an empire's wealth. The Suez Canal moves 12 to 15% of global trade between Europe and Asia. Egypt collects over $10 billion a year just for access. When it shut down for 6 days in 2021, $9 to $10 billion in goods sat stranded every single day. That's why nations keep proposing alternatives. Nicaragua to bypass Panama, Thailand to bypass the Malacca Strait. Whoever builds the route controls the leverage. Now Israel has set its sights on the ultimate bypass, a canal that would replace the Suez entirely. We're talking 160 miles cutting straight through the Negev desert to the Red Sea, deeper and wider than Suez. Cost estimates range from $16 billion to over $100 billion. But here's the engineering challenge. The Suez runs through sand. This canal would carve through solid rock in one of Earth's harshest deserts. No natural waterway, no existing infrastructure. So can Israel actually build it? And what happens to the global shipping system if they do? Let's find out. The Suez Canal has been shut down 3 times in modern history. Once for 8 years straight from 1967 to 1965. Each time, global trade routes scrambled to adapt. Between 1948 and 1950, Israeli vessels were completely blocked from using it. The canal had become a political weapon, not just a shipping lane. That's the vulnerability. One nation controls the choke point. One government decides who passes and who doesn't. An Israeli canal changes the equation entirely. It would give Israel and its allies leverage over their own route, independent of Egyptian control. The US military, which uses the Suez for rapid deployment between the Mediterranean and Indian Ocean, would have a backup option. For Egypt, the threat is existential. The Suez funds schools, hospitals, infrastructure, government operations. Losing even a fraction of that traffic would force Egypt to find alternative revenue in an already strained economy. So this isn't just about building a canal. It's about who controls the flow of trade between Europe and Asia. The idea isn't new. Engineers proposed connecting the Mediterranean to the Red Sea through this territory as far back as 1855. William Allen's proposal described a route from the Mediterranean through the Sea of Galilee to the Dead Sea to the Red Sea. It never moved forward. Egypt was already constructing the Suez, and no one wanted to compete with a canal that was nearly complete. The concept re-emerged during the Cold War as the Ben Gurion Canal, named after Israel's first prime minister. Early proposals were ambitious to the point of extreme. Some suggested using nuclear explosions for rapid excavation, an idea quickly abandoned as engineering methods and political realities evolved. Then, in March 2021, the Ever Given incident changed the conversation. The question shifted from, should we build this, to could we build this, and what would it actually take? When Egypt built the Suez Canal between 1859 and 1869, workers moved 74 million cubic meters of earth, mostly sand and soft sediment. That took 10 years and at least 30,000 workers at peak construction, using hand tools initially, then steam dredgers. The material made it possible. Sand can be dredged. Hydraulic pumps can move it. It's slow and difficult, but mechanically straightforward. An Israeli canal would cut through the Negev's limestone and sandstone bedrock. You can't dredge rock. For a better comparison, look at the Panama Canal. When the United States built it between 1904 and 1914, they excavated 96 million cubic yards, about 73 million cubic meters, of rock through mountains and jungle. That's roughly the same volume as the Suez, but through solid geology instead of sand. The Americans used pneumatic drills, over 60 million pounds of dynamite, and steam shovels operating around the clock. A single mountain section, the Culebra Cut, less than 9 miles long, required 100 million cubic yards of excavation. Landslides kept pouring material back into the channel, adding 30 million cubic yards to the workload, a 25% increase over original estimates. Even with industrial-era machinery and explosives, carving through rock costs roughly 10 times more per cubic meter than moving sand. Now consider what an Israeli canal would require. It's 1/3 longer than Suez and would need to be significantly deeper to handle modern ships. The Suez currently allows ships with a maximum draft of 20.1 meters. Egypt is upgrading sections to 22 meters depth. Proposals for the Ben Gurion Canal suggest 50 meters depth, more than double. Width matters too. The Suez ranges from 205 meters wide in most sections. The Ever Given, which blocked it in 2021, is 61 meters wide. When it grounded, it wedged diagonally across the full width. An Israeli canal designed at 200 meters wide with dual channels would allow genuine two-way traffic without convoy systems. Ships could pass continuously in both directions, eliminating the blockage risk entirely. Based on these dimensions, 160 miles long, 50 meters deep, 200 meters wide, through solid rock, engineers estimate the excavation requirement could reach 200 million to 300 million cubic meters, roughly 3 to 4 times the volume of the Suez Canal, all through material that requires drilling and blasting rather than dredging. That's comparable to excavating the Panama Canal 3 to 4 times over. The logistics tell you how massive this undertaking would be. The Negev Desert offers no existing infrastructure. No roads capable of moving heavy machinery, no power grid, no water supply for the concrete mixing and dust suppression that construction would require. Summer temperatures exceed 45 degrees Celsius. Everything would need to be built from scratch. Worker housing, equipment transport networks, supply chains stretching across one of Earth's harshest environments. Estimates suggest it could require hundreds of thousands of engineers and technicians recruited from around the world, working continuously for years. Construction timelines range from 5 to 10 years. The advantage? Rock channels don't shift or collapse like sand. The Suez requires constant dredging to prevent sediment buildup. A rock-cut canal would need far less maintenance once completed, potentially lasting centuries with minimal intervention. From a strategic standpoint, this canal would give Israel and its allies enormous influence over global shipping lanes. It could affect dynamics around China's Belt and Road Initiative, which depends on stable trade routes through the Suez and surrounding waters. The canal could even shift calculations around pressure points like the Strait of Hormuz, where approximately 20 million barrels per day, about 20% of global petroleum liquids consumption, passes through. Proposals describe advanced monitoring capabilities, including ship tracking systems and security oversight of every vessel transiting the canal. An Israeli-controlled waterway would provide unprecedented intelligence on commercial cargo and military vessels moving between Europe and Asia. Combined with the continuous two-way flow design, no convoy scheduling like the Suez currently uses, the canal would be both operationally faster and strategically more valuable than its Egyptian predecessor. So the engineering is possible. The question is whether the cost and timeline make it practical, and whether any amount of engineering can overcome the political obstacles that might prove more immovable than the rock itself. All this engineering assumes political obstacles can be overcome. History suggests otherwise. Multiple routes have been proposed over the decades. The most direct paths westward from the Gulf of Aqaba to the Mediterranean would cross territories where land use remains one of the region's most contentious issues. Less direct routes circumventing contested areas would add distance, complexity, and cost, undermining the canal's competitive advantage against the Suez. The renewed discussion of this project has generated speculation about whether infrastructure planning or territorial strategy drives the interest. Without confirmed funding or construction timelines, distinguishing serious proposals from strategic positioning remains challenging. Beyond territorial challenges, Egypt wouldn't simply accept a competing canal. The Suez Canal Economic Zone employs hundreds of thousands and aims to create 1 million jobs by 2030. Egypt's control of the canal has provided diplomatic leverage for over a century, influencing everything from regional alliances to international negotiations. An Israeli canal wouldn't need to capture all Suez traffic to reshape those power dynamics. Even partial diversion would force Egypt to recalibrate its strategic positioning throughout the Middle East and beyond. But there's another problem. A canal cutting through Israeli territory to the Red Sea still has to navigate one of the world's most dangerous shipping corridors, the same waters where Houthi attacks disrupted global trade in 2024 and 2025. That's where the next piece of this puzzle comes in. On December 26, 2025, Israel became the first United Nations member state to officially recognize Somaliland as an independent nation. Prime Minister Netanyahu framed it within the Abraham Accords, establishing full diplomatic relations, including the exchange of embassies and ambassadors. On its face, this was about countering Iranian influence. Somaliland sits directly across the Gulf of Aden from Yemen, offering Israel a forward position against Houthi threats in the region. But the strategic calculus extends beyond counterterrorism. Somaliland controls the port of Berbera, which overlooks the Bab el-Mandeb Strait, the narrow choke point connecting the Red Sea to the Gulf of Aden and the Indian Ocean. Every ship heading to or from a Ben Gurion canal would have to pass through these waters. The UAE has already invested $442 million to develop Berbera, securing a 30-year concession with automatic renewal. That gives UAE, and now potentially Israel through diplomatic cooperation, access to port facilities at the southern gateway to the Red Sea. This matters because a canal is only as valuable as the security of its approaches. The Suez has Egypt's military securing both ends. A Ben Gurion canal would exit into waters currently threatened by hostile actors. By establishing relations with Somaliland, Israel positions itself to monitor shipping, coordinate security, and potentially base assets near the Bab el-Mandeb Strait. Somalia condemned the recognition as a grave violation of sovereignty. The African Union and Arab League issued similar rejections. Somaliland's independence remains unrecognized by nearly every other nation. But Israel now has a diplomatic foothold at the southern entrance to the Red Sea. When you connect this to the Ben Gurion Canal discussions, the pattern becomes clear. Israel isn't just planning a canal. It's building the strategic infrastructure, diplomatic, military, and logistical, that would make such a canal defensible and operationally viable. So here's what matters. Israel's proposed Ben Gurion Canal sits at the intersection of economics, engineering, and geopolitics in ways few other infrastructure proposals do. Whether it's a strategic masterstroke that secures economic independence or a powder keg that ignites new regional tensions, understanding its implications means understanding how global trade, power dynamics, and strategic resource control intersect in the modern world. So, back to the question, can Israel actually build this canal? The engineering answer is yes. Brutally expensive and technically challenging, but possible with modern equipment and enough money. The political answer is far more complicated. And the real question might be, even if they can build it, should they? And what does the world gain or lose if they do? Thank you for watching, and if you enjoyed, make sure to like, share and subscribe for more mega build stories. See you in the next one.